Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to go on a quest to really get our heads around one of the most important words in business, strategy. It's kind of like this invisible map that guides literally everyone, from giant tech companies to that coffee shop on your corner. So let's figure out how to read it.
Okay, so what could a massive company like Apple and a small local coffee shop possibly have in common? I mean, they're in completely different worlds, right? Operating on totally different scales. And yet, they're both driven by the exact same fundamental thing.
They are both on a strategic quest. See, every single organization, I don't care if it's huge or tiny, is on this constant journey to survive, to grow, and hopefully to succeed in a world that is just jam-packed with competition. So, what even is strategy? Well, you can think of it as the master plan for this whole quest. It's two things at once. It's the map that shows you where you're going, that's your scope, and it's the special set of tools you're going to use to win, that's your competitive advantage. All right, first things first. On any quest, what do? You have to get the lay of the land. In the business world, we call this understanding your strategic position. You just can't make smart moves if you don't know the world you're playing in. You know, a smart organization never just moves blindly, because moving without reading the map first isn't brave, it's just reckless. The very first step is always to scan the entire landscape. You're looking for those hidden opportunities. And just as important, you're trying to spot the threats that could end your quest before it really gets started. So, a really classic tool for this is something called the PESTLE framework. It forces you to look at the big picture. Political stuff, economic trends, social changes, technology, the environment, and legal rules. Honestly, it's like a detailed weather forecast for your business. It shows you the big storms and the sunny days on the horizon that are totally out of your control but will for sure affect your journey. And look, this is not just some abstract theoretical thing. A 2018 analysis of the FANG Plus companies, Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, Google, and others, showed this perfectly. As you can see right here, the external threats started to seriously outweigh the opportunities. And why? Well, think about Pestel. There was this growing social backlash over data privacy and new legal rules popping up all over. It just goes to show that even for the mightiest giants out there, the environment can turn against you. All right, so that leads us right into our next step. You can see how this builds. Once you've read the map, once you understand the battlefield, you have to make a choice. You've got to pick a path. And when it comes right down to it, strategic choice really just boils down to these two fundamental questions. Number one, how are you going to compete? What's your plan to be better than everyone else? And number two, where are you going to compete? Which markets, which customers are you going to go after? Now, when we talk about how to compete, it usually comes down to one of two big paths. You can try to win on price, like IKEA does. They're super efficient, they offer a pretty good quality, and they do it for less money. Or you can win on difference, like Dyson. They create something so unique, so desirable, that people are happy to pay a premium for it. So are you the cheapest, or are you one of a kind? But just staying put, that's almost never a long-term option. Growth is key. And that means you've got to start looking beyond your current backyard and ask that other critical question, where do we go from here? And this is the Ansoff matrix. It's a classic map for thinking about growth. Just look at the 4 boxes. You can stick with your existing products in your existing markets and just try to sell more of them. That's market penetration. Or you could create new products for that same market, like when the supermarket Tesco started a bank. Or you could take your existing products to new markets, like Tesco expanding into Eastern Europe. And finally, the riskiest move of all, down in that bottom right corner, new products in new markets. That's diversification. Okay, so you've got this brilliant map, you've chosen your destination, but that's all completely worthless if your team can't actually make the journey, right? This final part is all about turning those plans into reality. It's about actually doing it. And this is such a crucial point, a strategy. It's not just some PDF that sits on a server somewhere. It's a living, breathing thing. And it lives or dies based on what's going on inside your company, your people, their shared values, the systems that guide what they do every single day. Let's take a look at a really powerful example of this in action. One of Uber's early core values, back under its founder Travis Kalanick, was always be hustlin'. And that wasn't just some catchy slogan on a poster. It created this incredibly aggressive, fast-moving, sometimes rule-breaking culture that fueled their insane global growth. But here's the thing, that exact same hustle culture, it also drove them straight into a disaster. As you can see from this timeline, it created an environment where huge ethical lines got crossed, from privacy scandals in 2014 all the way to a toxic work culture being exposed in 2017. It's the ultimate proof. If your internal culture doesn't line up with a healthy, sustainable vision, it will eventually break your strategy.
In all of this, it brings us to the final and maybe the most important piece of the puzzle when it comes to strategy. The quest isn't some trip with a finish line. It actually never ends.
You see, a great strategy isn't some static plan that you create once and then you're done. It's a dynamic, non-stop cycle. You analyze the battlefield, you choose your path, you act on it, and then, and this is the key part, you learn from what happened and you start analyzing all over again. The world is always changing, so the quest has to continue. So I'm going to leave you with this thought. The company you work for right now is on its own strategic quest. Understanding the map, analyzing your position, making choices, and putting them into action, that's the first step to helping it find its way. The real question is, do you know the map?